All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Man, we just got to doing an interview with Valencia Ivy. That was a lot of fun. I think she's probably the youngest actor I've had on the show so far. She's 8 years old. She's been acting since she was 3. Just an amazing kid. We got to hang out with her a little bit on the set at Vindication. I got to get to know her and her mom a little bit. So definitely go check out that interview. That was a lot of fun. And, I have a lot of producer friends and director friends that are out there. That's the kind of person you really want to book for your shows. So go look her up and get her on into some of your projects. Today, I get to interview another friend of mine, Venus Monique. You guys know her from Vindication. And we had her on, I guess, at the end of season 2 for Vindication, leading up to season 3, which was, I was talking to Valencia and her mom about season 3. Season 3, I think, was the best season so far. Until season 4 is coming out, so definitely keep an eye on that because you have a special guest coming on. I'm bringing Venus back on because I'm going to catch up with her. She's been doing a lot of things outside of Vindication. She's part of another group. We talked to Sharon about the group a little bit. But I want to bring Venus back on and catch up with my friend Venus. What's up, Venus?
Hi, guys. Yeah, it's so funny. We've got some V's back to back, Valencia and Venus. So
yeah, I'm like trying not to mix them up in my head. I'm like Venus, Valencia. So so that was a lot of fun bringing her, and I think she was the youngest guest I've had. But she's been acting since she was like 3. She's 8 years old. I had another friend who was acting since she was 3. She's like in her 20s now, 20. I want to say 27. And she's done like a ton of stuff. Ashley Betcher, and she's like doing commercials and all kinds of stuff. We did a double live where we did a live interview online in front of a live audience at a mall.
Oh, that's cool. That's super fun.
So, and then after our interview, we had they can choose signed autographs for people, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. So
that's cool.
But so how are you doing?
Great.
Cool.
Super blessed with all that God's got for me, which is so cool. It's funny because I didn't intend to be in this industry and he told me to be. So now it's like, wow, God, this is really fun.
So you've been doing a lot. So along with Vindication, last time we talked in Vindication, you couldn't tell me anything that was going on because it was the end of season 2, and we were waiting for season 3.
Yeah.
And so there, we couldn't have any spoilers, which is, I was telling Valencia and her mom, during that time, I think I had I had Jared on, I had Todd, I had you, and I had Cameron. And nobody could say anything about it.
I know. Honestly, I was just thinking, I wonder if I've gotten to share any of that with anyone because you have to keep it so quiet for so long.
Right.
Crazy.
So now we're in season 4. Mm-hmm. So I keep telling people, if you haven't seen the first 3 seasons, go see them now, so that you'll be ready for season 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jared. His mind just amazes me. I'm like, I don't know how you keep coming up with these stories, but he does such a great job.
Right, and that's the thing too that I really like about Vindication is I think that every season the show has progressed.
Yeah.
Going from season 1. When it was just the one-off stories, and then they brought your character in, they brought Peggy in, and they created TC, and they kind of made it into an actual an actual show. And then season 2, I guess towards the middle of season 2, once your brother
Mhm.
From that scene, from when your brother passed on the show,
Mhm.
and the funeral scene. I think from that point on, I was hooked. I was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that was such just a powerful scene. As a matter of fact, I remember maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I was showing the scene to my daughter. So I was like, yeah, we were watching it, and I was like, that was a really cool scene. And then
Mhm.
I saw Buddy on it, Buddy Campbell,
Yeah.
and I've known Buddy for a while, and it was funny because I saw Buddy as one of the councilmen,
Mhm.
and I said, I was watching, I was like, is that Buddy? So what? So I can get on my phone. Hey, Buddy, was you on vindication? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was on it. So was Olivia Disney. So
Uh-huh.
I actually met Buddy through Olivia,
Nice.
projects that they had worked on. So I've known them for a while. Trying to get Olivia just had her baby, so uh,
Oh, I didn't know she was pregnant. That's cool.
yeah. So um, I'm trying to get her back on when she's ready, and talk about some
Mhm.
of the stuff she was doing. I wanted to talk to her about her scene with Buddy, where she was beating Buddy
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I know I wasn't there for that, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, guys. Wow."
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too, is especially in season 3, some of the action scenes that you guys had.
Yeah.
Um, that I thought that was cool that you guys brought that in.
Mhm.
Um, and then your character going from season 2 to season 3, yeah,
Mhm.
you dyed your hair
Mhm.
red, and your character kind of went off the reservation a little bit,
Yes. Had a little vengeance to take care of.
right?
Yeah. It was fun though. It was really cool that Jared wrote that in that way so that it was fun for me as an actor to get to play something totally different.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what was that like for you? Be able to kind of switch into that kind of role.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it requires a different sort of homework going into it because I have to know why am I doing the things I'm doing and why am I saying the things I'm saying.
Right.
So then every like line I have to think of like the motivation behind it so that it's genuine. And so there was a lot of me being upset about my brother and like the whole
Right.
thing that happened and how I was just, like blindsided by all of it. So
Yeah.
even like that scene you were talking about earlier, the funeral scene, if I think too
Right.
much about it, it will hit me in the heart again because I did so much homework on how much I love my brother and then
Right.
him dying. And so
Yeah.
it it's so fun to get to play in that imagination of a totally different character.
Right.
So yeah.
So, and now you're going from being able to do that into what, directing and producing?
Yeah, producing. So I'm probably going to shadow direct on
Okay.
this. So myself and Sharon Lanier, who is also on Vindication, and Stephanie Half, who's also been an actor, we have started a production company called K Russo Productions,
Right.
and we're shooting our first film this summer, which is super exciting because it's a story that like God just put in our lap. It's a true story that happened to Stephanie's nephew. And it was just like, oh my gosh, God, like this is so beautiful that he spoke to this girl in this way when she was in
Right.
this like kind of stressful situation.
Right.
It all truly happened. And so we're bringing that story to life. And it's really fun to go from in front of the camera to behind the camera to
Wow.
operate on that side of things.
Right. What's that like for you now to be on the other side?
Well, we haven't officially shot, so I don't know that part yet, but leading
Right.
up to it, all of the planning and preparation and getting our crew together and talking about all the legal side of things and
Yeah.
that whole arena. And there's 3 of us, so it's not like one of us can make a decision and move on.
Right.
We're all making sure we're on the same page before we make a decision and how we want to foster this and do that. So it's been a process, and we've been meeting for over 2 years. I think we've
Oh,
been
wow.
meeting on Zoom pretty consistently. So now it's like we're meeting a lot more often because we've only got a few months until we film.
Wow. When do you guys start filming?
You said when?
Yeah.
We're going to film in June. So the last week of June we'll be
Oh,
in
wow.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania shooting.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell them what the name of the movie is?
Yeah. So the name of it is Daisy, and it's about this despondent girl who she ends up leaving her boyfriend because she's in a sticky situation, but she has nowhere to go. And so this person steps in to help her, and then we find out something about this person, and it's like, oh.
Wow.
And then there's God, and it deals with or it touches on like witchcraft. And so that's also been a thing where we're like, we've got to make sure we're praying, because if we're telling the story that's going to glorify God and it's going to expose Satan, then we need to make sure we're covering ourselves and our family and everything in prayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm looking forward to it. I know that Sharon talked a little bit about it when last week when I interviewed her. I'm excited to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And then you guys are part of another group where you have a group of women come together. And
yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I love it. That is the group that I started a few years ago. It started with younger actresses, and then like adult actresses were like, well, I want community too. Like, I want to be around my believing friends. And so I finally, prayed about it a lot and opened that up to like women, I guess, women actresses that were Christians, had no idea that they all needed community. And they just came, and it was like, oh my gosh. And now it's so fun because we meet a couple of times a month on Zoom, and we carpool to film festivals, and we are each other's roommates, and we send each other auditions, and we have prayer partners in between our meetings. And it's just a truly encouraging, supportive community. And when girls are asking me about it, I'm like, I take no credit for how great the community is. It is truly the women in there that make it so great, because their hearts are so generous and truly sincere. And I'm just like, wow, it's so awesome.
And that's kind of one of the things I've learned, since doing this. This is our season 3 of the show. And I've met several different community of people. There's a community out there in Florida that I've interviewed, several of the people within that community, and they're like that. It's like, they all work together in films, and then there's roles that, if they don't get, one of their friends got, so they're excited about, or, they all work together. And that's actually how I met Olivia. They have a community there in Arkansas where she's at. Where I don't know if you've met James Stokes and all of them, but Buddy's part of that group too, Buddy Campbell. But yeah, there's a whole community there, and it seems like once people get involved in a community, it's easier to do the films because they know the people, and then also because they have people that they can fall back on and ask questions, and and so I think it's easier, which is really cool that you have that here with the women's community that you have.
Go ahead.
Well, specifically because there's a lot of people like you who are in the faith base, and they don't have that kind of space with the secular realm. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was going to say is, it's in this industry, it's like you want to find people who have your same values so that they understand where you're coming from when you turn down a role, or when you respond to something in this way, because it's like that those are your values, and then you find someone who gets it and you're like, oh, my people. But also it's because it's online, we're all over the nation, including Canada and Mexico. We've got girls that are spread out, and so it's super, super cool. But the other thing I was going to one of the girls made a really good point. She was like, there's such a difference in networking and having community. And I was like, you're so right, because when you have that community, it's like you were just saying, Cross, like people know you, so they trust you, so they will send you work, or they will recommend you to someone or some project, and it's just a totally different level of your career.
Right.
Can help.
So, and then like because you didn't really want to be a part of this, but God called you to it, and now you're leading other people. I mean, what's that like? I mean,
it's so weird. It's so God. It's just like, wow, I had no idea, but I just keep being obedient and like the next thing and the next thing. And when I feel him pulling me towards something, I'm like, is this what you want, God? Like, is it maybe not? No. Yeah. And I just go back and forth until I feel like, yeah, this is what I feel like he's calling me towards. And then he just opens a new door and he opens a new door. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just super happy, just grateful. And like I posted the other day that I've had a lot of direct offers come in, which is when somebody just, for those who don't know, it's like when someone wants you on their project and they don't audition you. They're just like, hey, we would love to give you this role. Right. Wow. And that is like, wow, Lord, like you're the one who got me to this place where people have seen my work and, and they're reaching out now and you're putting me on people's minds and hearts to reach out to. And so it's just really cool to see him work and open doors.
Right. So if someone wants to join that group, is there a way that they can do that?
Yeah, they can go to personalpowerhouse.com. Okay. And we have a little form that they fill out. I do have a little bit of a vetting process because we've had like guys try to come into the group, and we've also had like people who aren't even in the industry try to come into the group, which I'm like, I get it. We all want community, but this is for Christian actresses. And so there is a form on the website they can fill out and then they can get an invitation. But yeah, personalpowerhouse.com.
Okay, cool.
And it's called the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite. So on my website, there's a link that says join the suite and it'll tell them more about it.
Okay. And then we'll put the link in the comment field too. So
perfect.
They have access to that. But I'm looking forward to it. And I was thinking, man, a lot of you guys from the show have got some really cool projects because you have Daisy coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron and TC has The Forge that's about to come out. And so I'm excited to see that one too.
Yeah.
So you guys are like, you're out there doing it.
Yeah. And there's this other one. I still don't know if I can talk about it yet, but it was another direct offer. Didn't know these people at all. And they reached out and I didn't know if they were legit. And so I sent it to my agent and she reached out and she's like, nope, they're legit. And so it was like, wow, I don't know how they found me, but it's an episodic and it's a drama mystery thriller type. And it's based off a novel, which is such a great novel. Am I cutting out?
Right. No, it froze for a second, but you're good.
Okay. I was like, because you were freezing too. Oh, okay. Yeah. So
hopefully we're good.
Yeah, we'll just keep going. But yeah, it's such a good project, and I didn't realize it was Christians whenever I first got it. I was like, okay, like I'm not sure how many of these folks that I'm going to be meeting are going to be, totally on the other side of the spectrum from me. But I found out a lot of them were Christians, but it was just a totally different element of the faith world. Like I hadn't heard of any of these people in the faith world. And so it was just like, whoa, this is amazing. So I'm excited to see what comes with that episodic also, that series.
Wow. Cool. That's the thing too. And I talked a little bit to Jared about this, is that it's amazing how faith-based films are starting to pick up. Yeah. And faith-based films used to be really cheesy. Mm-hmm. But now you have films coming out, and I think a lot of it has to do War Room and Courageous, and now you have movies coming out.
I'm gonna make sure my laptop is plugged in. I wonder if it's like battery level or something. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that that'll really make a difference, but it makes me feel better.
Okay. But yeah, faith-based movies have changed so much. Mm-hmm. And now we get these like just really great stories coming out.
Yeah.
I just got to go and see an Ordinary
Mhm.
Angels with Hilary Swank and Alan Richardson. That was a great
Yeah.
movie. So it's changed. It's changed a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, it's been really great.
I
And then,
know that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's been great to see all those movies come out and then to attend conferences where you get to hear about the behind the scenes of how those movies were made. And it's just like, oh, that's so
Right.
awesome. And so we're all learning from each other about how to make quality films. And so it's really neat.
Those conferences, I see you post pictures from those conferences. How often do those conferences happen, and how do you get to go see those conferences?
Yeah, I love them. It's so funny. I didn't go to them for the longest when I was first in the industry. And then I went to one
Right.
called Content Film Festival in Texas because Vindication was playing for a day and there was like something and Jared was going to be speaking. And so I think maybe, I don't remember if I was going to be speaking, but I went for one day and I was like, wow, it's like a community of my people. This is really great. And so I went the
Right.
next year and I was like, you know what? These are great. I'm loving meeting so many people and just being around the fellowship and like just the generous hearts of everyone and the kindness. And so Content Film Festival, well, I'll just start from the top of the year in case there are actors who are like, oh, I want to go. So in March, there is CWVFF. That's by the Kendrick Brothers. That stands for Christian Worldview Film Festival. And they have their conference, or they have their film festival in Georgia at their home church. They have shifted it before, but it's usually in Georgia. And then in May, there's another one called ICFF. That stands for International Christian Film Festival. That one happens in Florida. And in I know I'm forgetting one somewhere in here, but in September, there's Content Film Festival, or it's also called Content Media Conference. That one is in Dallas, like outside of Dallas, Capernaum Studios. So that one's in September. And then ICVM is like October, November, and they vary in their location. So last year it was in Nashville. This coming year, I think this coming year it's in November, and it's going to be in Washington, D.C. And then the one that I forgot is NRB. So NRB is, I believe, spring. So April, May, March, every year. And that stands for National Religious Broadcasters.
There's quite a few of them. I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah, we talk about them a lot in
So
Go ahead.
Oh, you talked to them about. You say you talk about them in.
Yeah, in the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite, we talk about the festivals a lot because we're like, who's going to this one? Did you get your ticket? Which ticket did you get? Are y'all getting a hotel? Can we room together? Are y'all carpooling? Are you flying? So we're always talking about upcoming things and like how we can see each other at the next event.
How do you guys get notifications for that? Is there?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to them. I'm subscribed to each of their newsletters. So when they send out the early bird ticket, I always get the early bird ticket if I know that is something I want to do. Like I booked my ICVM ticket a couple of months ago because they were like, tickets are on sale. And I'm like, I'm there. So I was like, I don't even know where I'm staying, but I know that this is a great conference and I'm going. So yeah, I always try to get the early bird ticket.
Cool. You know, you've been doing this for a little bit of time now. What's the biggest thing that you've learned so far?
I think one of the things that I would hope all actors know or decide to do is to know your boundaries and make them known, because this is an industry where you could be tempted by money and you can be tempted by this project or this fame or this connection or, you know, whatever. You can be tempted by so many things in this industry. And so that is one of the things that I would tell every actor is know your boundaries, but also make them known to your acting coaches, to your agent, to your fellow actors. And that way there's just that precedent already set and it doesn't create awkwardness for other people. So that would be one of the things I would hope all actors learn or know. But I think Another thing I feel like I've learned is slow and steady wins the race. One of the things that I remind myself of is little by little, a little becomes a lot. And so if we just continue to do the next step and the next step, eventually that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it is a little discouraging in the beginning when you're trying and you're hitting a wall and you're hitting a wall and you're not making the progress you feel like you should be. But if you're in God's will for your life and if you continue to be consistent, oh, you're gone, Cross. Well, I'll just keep talking to your audience until you come back in case this is live. But if you continue to be consistent, then you'll start seeing the payoff from sticking with it and pushing through it. Okay, for those who are live right now, I'm just going to check my messages and see. Okay, yeah, he texted me and said he got booted and he'll be right back. Okay, if this is really live and you're on, Steve Mokate just texted me, so I'm assuming this is actually live. I don't actually know though, but send me questions. If I can see them, I'll answer. I'll recap a couple of things that I just mentioned while I'm waiting on Cross. One of them was personalpowerhouse.com. So if you are a Christian actor out there, actress, and you want community, and you also want to take your career to the next level, you're welcome to join us. Just go to personalpowerhouse.com and then look for the link that says join the suite, and you can learn more about us there. And the other thing was the different conferences. I went through those kind of quickly, so I'm just going to go back through them again. CWVFF is Christian Worldview Film Festival. That's with the Kendrick Brothers. ICFF is International Christian Film Festival. That's in Florida. NRB is National Religious Broadcasters. They change their location every year. Then Content Film Festival or Content Media Conference, same event. Those happen in September every year in the Dallas, Texas area. And then November-ish or sometime in the fall is ICVM, which stands for International Visual Media. International Christian Visual Media. Somebody help me. But yeah, that one's in the fall. So this year I will be at ICFF in May, and then I will be at Content Film Festival in September, and I will be at ICVM in November. Okay. I don't think I can see y'all's questions. So if you're asking any, Parks is getting them, but not me. I guess I will also tell you guys that if you are into acting or you're starting to get into acting and you need a little help, I do have a free guide. It's like a 4 or 5 page guide to help get you started. If you go to personalpowerhouse.com, there's a link at the top that says free acting guide. You can download that. It's got my tips of how I started. I started with Craigslist. I didn't know anybody in the film world. I just was like, okay, God, you called me to do acting. I'll figure it out. So it's got my tips of how I started, how I found my acting coach, pros and cons of the things that I did. It's also got some extra things to think about, where you can find acting opportunities, and it's just completely free. I just was getting the same question from a lot of people about how did you get started? How did you find gigs? And so I put it all into a guide, and it's just free for you to help you. Oh, I wish I could answer questions. I could talk to y'all about the books that are behind me because I really like reading. I really like learning. I should say I like learning, but I read a lot of books.
All right, I think we're back.
Hi, yes. I've just been talking to your audience. I don't know if they're asking questions, if this is really live right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's live. Every so often, for some reason, this thing kicks me out. I don't know. I guess it tries to keep me on my toes. I don't know. So, I talk about this all the time. One of the best things that came out of the pandemic is that they created tools for us to be able to come in and do online.
Yeah.
But they still haven't perfected it enough yet. So every so often, you get booted out. So
well, your connection is like perfect now. So I don't know what it was, but it's clear now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're good. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed. we're good from here. So we're talking about the different programs. You said you signed to a list, and so they notify you. If there's people who want to get involved in those communities, is there like a way for them to do that?
Involved in the conferences that happen, the festivals.
Yeah, to know when the conferences are going to come to town, or
I would you could follow those conferences and film festivals on Facebook or Instagram, but I think the most I just think the email list is the best because that's when they blast it out to their audience. So you kind of find out about these things a little bit sooner than they would post on social media. So if there's one that you want to attend or you're wanting more information on, just go to their website, figure out where they have the subscribe here button, and then subscribe.
So, and this is, I think, extremely helpful, for people trying to get into that community because, and another thing that you said too that I thought about, and I think about this a lot when I interview people, is when we were talking about, and you said that you draw boundaries of things that you will and won't do, and you've even done that on Vindication. There's a part where in season 2 that you kind of, I don't say turn down, but they end up having somebody else do the role because it kind of crossed the boundary of where you wanted to go.
Oh, wait, are we talking about Hannah?
When they were setting up the sting in season 2.
Yeah.
And they had
oh, yes. Yeah, they had Megan dress as the girl on the street because I was I was like, no, I don't think I want to wear that kind of stuff for everyone. So yeah. And honestly, Jared's been so great about knowing where my boundaries are. And also if there is something he thinks is questionable, he'll just ask me and would you be comfortable with this? Or what would make you comfortable? And he's cool with whatever answer I provide. He's not going to make me feel guilty or try to, push something. So he's been amazing.
And so, and I know there's other people too, because TC kind of has that too. TC, I noticed that on the set when I was there, they had a particular scene, and he had to do it a certain way because he didn't want it to cross bound. I can't give it away because
I know it is.
But so I see that there's different actors that have that, and I think about that too because I bring in actors from all over. I just got to having Larry Hankin, and he's done 206 films. His first film was in 1972,
nice,
with Clint Eastwood. And so you have this guy has been on everything. He's been on Seinfeld. He's been on Friends, Breaking Bad. I mean, he's been everywhere. And then you have other actors who come in, and I know that there's actors that's like you that has boundaries, and sometimes they hesitate taking on a project because of that. But one of the things I learned from you is that even though you have those boundaries, it doesn't really stop you from being able to do, be in this industry and do some things you really want to do.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that there's a graph that I saw, and it was what success is and then what success really is. And it's kind of it's all this windy road stuff. And I'm you know what? Right. It does feel that way, especially when you're a Christian in this industry, because there's a lot of things I've turned down, even things in the faith-based world, because I'm oh, so that's cool for you to do, but that doesn't sit well with me. And so in friends projects, I'm oh, I so appreciate it, but that just, that would be, for me, it would be compromising, and I don't want to do that. And so it's like, I could say yes, 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 and it would keep going, but I've got all these, no. And so it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit, it's just different, but I am grateful for it because there's just been goodness in that. And then one of the acting coaches, when I first started in this industry, and I told her about my boundaries, and I didn't know anyone, but I knew that I had boundaries, and I knew that she was a pretty top level coach. And I was like, I don't know if anybody ever shares their boundaries with her, and I don't know how she's going to take it, but I'm going to go ahead and tell her. And so I thought that she was going to be like, I'm sorry, you can't take my class. But she was just like, you know what? I think that's great, because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to look down on your own mountain and be okay with everything you've done. Wow. And I was like, well, you're right. Thank you for that. I was not expecting it. But ever since then, I'm like, you're right. Like, I do have to look back down my own mountain. And if I've allowed myself to compromise a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, it's not going to feel good to look back down my own mountain.
That's a good point too. Yeah. And then, but it hasn't affected your career either, because now you have direct offers. You know? So, and it's the thing too that people don't realize that I think is important is God's going to honor that. If God knows that you're taking those steps and, and you're not willing to cross those boundaries, he's not, if that's the door that God opened up for you, to be in the acting, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to get those roles. So for people out there who think you have to compromise because of, Hollywood or whether, things are, or to get ahead, you don't, because if God has called you to do something, the only one who's going to, I was going to say the only one who can stop you is you, but honestly, if God's called you to do something, even you can't stop you from doing it. Because, people do it. People try. They end up getting their own way. But God always, he knows our flaws, so he still works it out anyways. So if that's your purpose and, God's created you and that's your purpose, then he's going to see to it that it gets done.
Yeah. And you know what, back to your question of what is something that I've learned, I think just knowing that this is God's assignment is such a breath of fresh air, because it doesn't ever feel like I'm forcing anything. It doesn't ever feel like I'm not on the right timeline. It's like, no, God explicitly told me this is what I'm going to do. And so this is what I am moving forward in. And so if we could all make sure, just check in with God, like, Lord, am I really where you want me, or am I pursuing my own agenda? Because when he is actually in it and he is guiding you, there's just so much more peace, especially in something as like this industry that does this.
Yeah. So, and that's a great point too, because, sometimes we get so wrapped up in the moment, we stop, forgetting to check in with God and be like, hey, is this where you want me to be right now? And so, that's extremely, extremely important to stop and check, because especially in this industry, once you start growing in it and, you have the fan base and it's easy to lose track of what God's telling you to do and start doing your own thing, because, everybody likes the accolades and they like the praise they get and, and the attention. And sometimes that takes us off of the actual focus of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. What is that quote, Cross? Maybe you know it. It's like, if you accept the applause of man, then you'll be affected by, like, it's the opposite. Like, don't let their applause affect you, and don't let the opposite affect you, like their lack of. I'll have to find that. I haven't thought about that quote in a while.
But I mean, it's a true statement that, because it's easy in this industry to get caught up in stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. A lot of people I interview.
Before we move on from that, can I say one more?
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's a John Maxwell book, and or maybe it was an interview I was listening to, but he was talking about when he first started out as on stage and people would applaud, he got like humbled because I think it was his mentor or God was like, they're not applauding you. They're applauding the gifts in you. And you didn't give yourself those gifts. God gave you those. So always remember that. They're not applauding you. It's the gifts. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. Just remember that. So
Wow.
anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's a good point too. And I was going to ask you because I know a lot of people that I interview are afraid to read their own press because, or like comments, like like when they go to different sites and they see somebody's a fan of a show. Do you ever look at the comments of how people talk? I know like Steve said that he had a lot of negative feedback because of his character.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a lot of negative feedback. Do you ever like go look and you're like just to see what people are saying about you and your character, or do you try to stay away from that?
No, I don't have, it doesn't cross my mind to go look or not look. I don't know. I'm just doing my own thing. So Steve, I understand because he was playing a character that everybody loved to hate him. And like, that means he's doing it well if people were, talking crap about him. He was doing such a great job, but no, I don't. I mean, I'll say like, maybe the one thing that I won't do is when I have a project that comes out, I'm not the kind of person that wants a watch party and I want everybody to see. Like the first time I see my work, I want to sit by myself and I want to analyze my work. Not like how good did I do, but was I believable? How did that work? And I don't want the entertainment factor coming in. Like after I watch it and I make my own assessment, then I'm cool with like, you can watch all you want. Like we can have a party. I don't care. But first, I need to do work first before entertainment. So maybe that's like one of the things. But as far as reading things I wrote, maybe I'll go read an article that comes out because I'm curious to know if they edited things out or if they actually kept everything I said. So I will go check on that just to make sure that I'm being properly quoted and not my things aren't being misconstrued. But no, as far as other stuff, no.
So I have a friend of mine who's an author. His name's Dave Thomas, and before he started writing books, he used to be a sports writer, and so people would always comment. And he said that he would get like 1,000 people who loved his work, and he'd get one person and give him like a negative feedback. And at first, one person would bother him, and then he would have to respond to that person. Why did you not like my story? But then he said that he started realizing that whenever he took the constructive feedback, he always looked at where the source was. If it's somebody that he knew that was in his inner circle that was giving him constructive feedback, then he took that more serious. If it was just some random person who's just didn't know him and they're like, hey, this is what I think of you, then he started learning to say, try to distinguish the difference between the two.
Yeah, and I think we had this talk in the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite recently about your integrity, because you may get people who are talking crap about you, but as long as you're actually living your life in integrity and you're being honest and all of these things, then anybody can say what they want and your reputation will speak for itself. And it kind of shifted into talking about AI because people have the ability to Photoshop anybody with anybody. And so I told one of the girls, I was like, Susan, what if we all saw a picture of you kissing another dude that wasn't your husband? Like, we need to know you enough and trust your integrity that even if it looks so real, we know you and the way that we know your character to know that that's not actually you. And so with AI, our integrity and our reputation, like we have to be wise because everything can be twisted. So just making that jump.
Wow. And that's the other thing too is we just got to having this the strike, the actors strike. And AI plays a lot into that. So me personally, I don't like the idea of having AI out there, because one, nobody should own the image of another person. Yeah, you should have your, own your own image. And if somebody wants you in their film and you turn them down because you have, standards that that you uphold, that another company shouldn't have the right to take your image and put you in a film doing stuff you wouldn't do in a film.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm completely, totally against that. And it's unfair to the actor too. If you want somebody's talent and you want them in your film, pay them and get them to go do it. Stop trying to look for the cheap way to do it. And so hopefully they come up with some kind of ban on that.
I know,
guys.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah. Are you a SAG actress or no?
I'm not. I'm SAG eligible, so I could join the union if I wanted to. And if I lived in a other state than Texas, if I lived in a state where there was mostly union work, then I would join. But being in Texas, I'm free to do both. It's a right to work state. So I'm like, well, why would I join? And then I would eliminate all of my non-union opportunities. I wouldn't be able to do vindication if I was union, if I was SAG. So no, I just stay eligible. And if I ever need to join, then I will. But
right. And that's what I kept thinking about was, the cons and the pros and cons for joining and not joining. Because I have I have some friends that's part of it, and it affected them, that whole strike affected them, because they were on strike for over a year.
That's a while.
And you're out of work. There's nothing to do. You can't. And then, they had their restrictions. They couldn't come on the show, and, they can't really talk about anything. And it's just.
It's tough. There's another element that could happen when an actor becomes union. They can actually go FI Corps, which is financial core, which basically means they're still in the union, but they can do non-union work. It's kind of frowned upon, and you still pay your union dues. But it is an option for anyone that feels like they're permanently stuck in the union. You can go FI Corps. Yeah.
And and that's the thing too, is you got to do what's best for you as an actor. I know people, like, oh, you should do this, join the union, be part of whatever. But, in all reality, you have to do what's best for you in your family, because there's still a livelihood. You still got to take care of family, So there's a lot to consider on that. So, what do you have coming on, going on in the future? Do you have any new projects other than Daisy, or?
Yeah. So I was direct offered again the other day by someone that I've actually never spoken with, and they had reached out to my agent to reach out to me to offer a role in a movie coming next. Well, I don't know that I can say when. But yeah, so that'll be coming, and I read the script, and it's a beautiful script. So I'm just like, what a blessing to get to be a part of that too. So we'll see. Well, there's some other things that are kind of floating around that are either in the process or continuing. And so we'll see what happens with those also.
Wow. Well, cool. Yeah, we definitely. So as new projects come up, you got to come back on so we can promote them.
Yeah, thanks.
And then once you guys shoot Daisy, and you guys do when you guys shoot Daisy, do you guys have like an idea where you're going to do the premiere? Or
we were actually just talking about that the other day. We're like, are we doing a premiere? Are we going to do a film festival run first? Or are we just going to go straight? Like, what are we going to do here? So we haven't totally sorted that out. But why are you asking? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking you got to tell me if you're going to do it here, so I can go to the premiere and cover it and maybe do a live for it.
That would be cool. Okay, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll let the ladies know.
Cool.
Thanks, Cross.
Yeah, definitely. So we could get that promoted and get that out there. So, well, definitely. Well, thank you. I know we had problems with the internet.
Hopefully it worked. Hopefully it worked well. We stayed live the whole time.
Right. So, but thank you again so much for coming back on. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy being able to sit down and talk with you guys and see what all you guys got going on.
Yeah, it's definitely appreciated too that you take an interest in all of us and you help promote our things and get us out there. So we appreciate you just as much.
Well, thank you guys for that. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I loved going out there and hanging out with Jerry too.
Yeah.
So again, guys, if you have not seen the first 3 seasons of Vindication, what are you waiting for? Go watch it. Especially like season 2 and season 3 is awesome.
Mhm.
And then keep an eye out for Daisy. And then we'll post some of the information for the conferences too on the comments. So if you guys want to get involved with these different conferences, and I highly, highly recommend that you guys do that so you guys can be part of a community. Definitely reach out and try to be a part of that because having that community is so important. But well, thank you again, Venus.
You're welcome. Thanks, Cross.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And remember, guys, you are uniquely designed with a purpose. And always keep moving forward. Peace.